Okay.
Thank you.
Just wanted to double check. Okay, thanks.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's it. I blame myself for my late attendance. You have my apology.
With that, we are open for discussion on the 2023 comprehensive plan amendments. Do the commissioners have any comments?
I mean, generally, what has been stated already, I think I'm more or less in line with that, as of that area being more or less connected with you know, the intersection that's on the other side with Lowe's and all that sort of area. A lot less connected with that, and a lot more connected with the rural road, of course, on Sydney right there, and then county maintenance. I don't project really a whole lot of commercial mixed use development happening there, at least in the near future. Of course, with the issues discussed with adding in sewer lines, but also the issue of any sort of viable commercial use there, at least in my opinion, needing to traverse Blackjack Creek or go through Lowe's, neither of which would be realistic or even desirable options. So I think that this is just the most reasonable one, of course, to move it to R1.
We would entertain a motion.
I move to recommend that the City Council approve an ordinance adopting the 2023 Comprehensive Plan Amendment as presented.
I'll second that. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mr. Morrison, do you have any comments?
I think I had previously said that. So sorry. I think that the interest of the property owners is beyond relevant here, and I would encourage the property owners, if they have a collective desire, to continue to discuss with the city and make petitions as to the type of zoning that they want. I think that's paramount. I previously expressed my concerns that there's just, I worry about how much commercial land and industrial land is available. My understanding from the discussion of this particular land is it's just not well suited for that purpose. One could also argue that, well, were the appropriate investments made and development targeted, it could be. But I would also say that it really is up to the property owners, and we should honor their wishes. So that is my commentary.
Am I hearing you say that we should not move it to R1 because they are not supportive of that?
No, you're not actually, because if they're my understanding is if they would be supportive of R2, they probably would prefer R1 over their current zoning. I can't confirm that, but if the least we can do is R1, that may be what we have to do.
Thank you, Joe. And you will find out as chair, I do call on people. Does anyone else have any comments? Okay, as chair, I will speak last, but when this was first brought to our attention at our last meeting, I was supportive of the R1 if the landowners desired that. And now we're finding that the landowners aren't particularly desirous of that. They would like R2. However, we at this level cannot just say, okay, we're going to change that to R2. Our choice is either leaving it as commercial or recommending the city council change it to R1. I will say in support of all R1, we know that there are current residents on the street that have been in communication with the community development department and are having difficulty doing things to their property that they desire to do. We also know that in Olympia, there is a lot of conversation about making duplexes and fourplexes automatic in R1 at the city level. That has not gone through the entire process yet, but it is in discussions in Olympia. So depending on why the residents want R2, Olympia may take care of that already if they're desiring to make duplexes and fourplexes mandatory in R1 zoning. So I'm offering that as some explanations to the citizens that are listening and in the audience. We also are having a major update to our comprehensive plan next year. We also are in the middle of a housing action plan that's being developed. So there's significant opportunity for the citizens to participate with the city to have that zoned as how they feel would be appropriate. So regardless of the action we take this evening, I do believe that there's opportunity for the citizens moving forward to have the zoning changed. So is there anyone else that would like to comment? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the 2023 comprehensive plan amendment as presented. Is there anyone who would be voting against that motion? I will ask a second time. Is there anyone who would be voting against that motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved with unanimous consent.
I think they're a little late.
Okay, and so now we will move down to our next public hearing, which is LR 23 code amendment for the development agreement and sign code. Again, is this you, Jim? Thank you.
And that was the 5B, right? Because it showed as 5C on the first.
Good evening, Jim Fisk,
Sorry.
Department of Community Development. Staff would like to make a correction to this staff report. Please note that this item is 5C on the agenda, not 5B. The proposed revisions to Port Orchard Municipal Code 20.26.020 and 20.132.060 related to development agreements and sign code was introduced to the Planning Commission at the February meeting. Since then, the city has issued a determination of non-significance for the amendment and requested a 60-day review by the Washington Department of Commerce. Tonight's public hearing was properly noticed consistent with the requirements of Port Orchard Municipal Code 20.25 on February 21st. Department of Community Development did not receive any comments related to the proposed amendment. Tonight, we asked the Planning Commission, after taking public testimony, to make a recommendation to the City Council on the proposed revision to POMC 20.26020 and 20.132.060 related to development agreements and the sign code. Port Orchard's current sign regulations do not provide a workable standard for large sites with multiple pads and tenants served by private internal circulation roads. Our current sign code currently refers to a master sign permit, which allows a development to allocate signage throughout the site, but that process does not allow for increases in net signage based on the number of buildings that may front internal private access roads. What staff proposes is an amendment to the development agreement section so that where there are large complex sites, we have the ability to approve a master sign plan through a development agreement to allow additional flexibility as part of the incentives for obtaining other public improvements that may be necessary. Currently, the development agreement section is one of the, the sign code is one of the few sections in Title 20 that is not one of the items that is able to be amended by a development agreement. It's a relatively simple ordinance to add the sign chapter to the list of chapters that can be amended and the development standards that may be amended through a development agreement. Doing so may have a significant impact on the city's ability to negotiate with the developer to end up with the best possible outcome to provide a public benefit. Staff recommends approval of the amendment as presented.
Thank you. With that, we will open the public hearing on LR 23 Code Amendment 1, Development Agreement and Sign Code. Is there anyone either on Zoom or in the audience that would like to speak to this public hearing? Again, I will ask, is there anyone who is wishing to give testimony regarding the development agreement and sign code amendment? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and open it up to the commission for discussion. Is there any discussion on the item? Is there a motion on the item? I was hoping you would.
I move to recommend that the city council approve an ordinance amending Port Orchard Municipal Code 20.26.020 and 20.132.060 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve this code amendment. Is there any discussion on behalf of the commission? It's pretty straightforward. The question I asked last time was, will this include signage that may not be within the development, off-site signage?
I remember what you had asked before, and I kind of sort of thinking about temporary signage. This obviously would not apply to temporary signage.
Okay.
We don't really regulate signage as offsite or onsite. It's just signage as a whole. So I suppose there could be a way that a development agreement could be structured to allow that sort of thing. But really, this is intended to address on-site signage through the master sign plan.
Is there any further discussion or any questions? No? With that, it has been moved and seconded for approval of LR 23 Code Amendment 01, Development Agreement and Sign Code. Is there anyone who would be voting against this motion? I will ask a second time. Is there anyone who would be voting against this motion? Hearing none, the motion passes with unanimous consent. Thank you. We had a very light agenda. We accepted there were 2 public hearings, but there's nothing else under our business items except for the director's discussion. Were you prepared to give us a report this evening?
Yeah, I was going to talk about a couple of things. Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to give the Planning Commission information that I shared with the City Council at their last meeting on the 28th of February, just in terms of development activity in the city. We are still seeing well above average development activity. Single family development has sort of leveled out to historical averages at this time. Multifamily, I think we've issued 210 we've permitted 210 units this year for building permits. And so we are definitely seeing the interest in multifamily development continuing in the city. And so that's a good sign in terms of the revenues that the city needs to make improvements to parks. I think we just accepted park impact fees of about $500,000 from a project in the last at the end of February, which will help us build our community event center, traffic impact fees, other things that come in that help us fix Bethel and some of the other projects the city is working on. So that's my report on development activity. The other thing that Jim had asked me to talk about is our process for packet delivery. And lately with people, number one, we've lost a planner who has recently resigned, so we have an open position. One of my planners is attending a educational program that has them working remotely most of the time. And as you saw, Jim came in here with trekking poles tonight because he's having issues. And so delivering packets is very difficult because it falls to me as the director who has a significant amount of other responsibility. I've talked to the finance department and IT, and we've come up with a solution that if you want paper packets, we're going to be able to give you key cards to access the city hall. There's outside of this door here, there's a stairwell that goes down to ground level where there's a keypad where you can use a card. And we're going to put mailboxes for each of you in the council conference room behind us here, so that if you need to come get your packet after hours, you can do that outside of business hours and you don't have to come here during the day. So the direction that we're asking for from anyone who wants a paper packet, we can get you a key card. I've already put in a request for key cards. And we just need to let Josie and Jim know so that we can make sure those get printed for you, and we'll let you know when they're available for pickup. And that's the same treatment our city council gets. If they want a printed packet, they have to come in and print it themselves from their device. And so it's that's going to work best operationally for the department. So any questions about that?
Nick, for clarification, you mentioned council prints it from their device. But earlier you mentioned it will be in our mailboxes.
Yeah, so the city council members all have laptops assigned to them, and they're connected to printers. So if they need to print something, they come in and actually can print things in the finance department. For this access, we don't have a printer in this room, and we also try to keep the building secure at night. So,
Understood. Okay.
but we can certainly get you into this back room where you can pick up a paper copy
Okay.
if it's been requested.
I just wanted to make sure it was a paper, because I was understanding correctly, it was a paper copy.
Yeah, so it'll be up to you to let Josie or Jim know whether you want a paper copy. And also, if you haven't been assigned a city device, we recently got Paul set up with a new device. All you have to do is make the request. We'll put it in through IT, and then we just have to set up a time for you to come, create a password, get logged in, and just show you the basic. There's some minimum training that you have to go through for IT security so that you don't give the city malware or ransomware or something like that. So but we're happy to get you a device if you would like to request it, so that you can use that both to have your face appear online in the recording for our meeting, and also to be able to scroll through your packet.
Josie, Jim, if I could have a printed copy for each meeting, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I would like one too, please.
If you're printing and delivering, I could take advantage of that. What I do now is I print, but since I don't have access downstairs, I have to get the finance department to bring it up front and I pick it up. So it'd be more convenient for me if I could do it any time of the day or night. And if you're already delivering, another one shouldn't be any more difficult. Okay.
No, thank you.
Is there anything else? Is there anything anyone wants to share?
I do have one question. When do you anticipate we will discuss the stormwater and watersheds comp plan?
So we are, when that was put in the packet last time, we didn't realize that the finance department and the mayor had not been able to review that document yet. And so we're waiting for our internal review to be completed. I think there's some internal discussion taking place about possible changes before we're ready to present it. So it's probably, it's probably in the next 3 months, I would say, but I don't know when our next meeting is scheduled. We just had I think actually they're meeting without me next week because I'm going to be out of town. But they should have direction back to the consultant for changes. And then it's just a matter of waiting for the consultant to bring back a finished product that we feel comfortable presenting.
Okay. Will we receive a third copy, a third rendition of, or will it pretty much be the same?
I don't know how different it's going to be. If you request a paper packet, you will get a third copy.
Okay.
But I suspect it won't be redlined, so. Is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up or to talk about this evening? No. Okay, with that, we stand adjourned. Oh, excuse me. We typically don't have a second citizen comments, but I will, since we have someone in the audience. I didn't know whether you wanted to make comment to the commission or not.
And I believe you're here for the Me Line Road comp plan amendments. Was that?
It's about Southeast Moline Road and Dogwood Road.
Yeah, so that was approved already. They recommended approval, so it. So anyway, yeah, so it was recommended for approval to the city council. I think it'll go to city council probably at the end of April or early May for approval. We have to wait 60 days from our date of Department of Commerce notification before that can go forward. But if you had any other comments,
It was recommended for approval. Correct.
This is Linda Dorgan, and she's the one who provided the letter that I gave you earlier tonight.
So with that, we will stand adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.